And so now to the main event. So tonight we're really here to learn from the inimitable Cristina Gallegos. And I say that because she is just quite an original human being. She's a pioneering businesswoman. She's founded 6 companies. She has 30 years of business under her belt. And she's consulted to philanthropy and nonprofits for 18 years. And her sweet spot is really at the intersection of the for-profit and nonprofit worlds. And she bridges that gap through psychological insight and social entrepreneurship.
So Cristina believes that success is often found at the intersection of vision, practicality, and elbow grease. She loves the business design process and the challenge of taking early stage entities to scale. That sounds incredibly lofty, but the truth is when you've had the privilege of sitting down with Cristina as we have, you experience her incredible gift for breaking down huge visionary goals and missions into concrete, actionable strategies and steps. Perhaps her greatest gift is identifying and asking the right questions that drive you deeper and deeper into understanding your own motivations and goals so that you can communicate them first to yourself and then to the world and ultimately execute upon them. We're extremely honored and privileged to have her presenting to us tonight and taking us through her unique method of inquiry and investigation. Welcome.
Thank you, Cristina. Welcome.
Thank you, Jen. People write that. They actually wrote that. And, well, you watch your own soundtrack, right? Doesn't everyone wants to have a soundtrack? Let's go to the main event. Thank you. The energy in the room is amazing. What beautiful faces, beautiful day. March 8th. I love March 8th. I am Romanian, and for Romanians, March 8th is a huge deal. It's Valentine's Day, Women's Day, and Mother's Day, all roll into one. It's Mother's Day today in Romania. And yeah, a guy's worst nightmare, right? And right now in Romania, little kids are making cards for their mothers and their teachers. They are waving those white and red threads that symbolize the resurgence of spring out of the cold of winter. And there are always charms like 4 leaves clovers and doves and hearts. Is a very symbolic holiday. And my father, when I grew up, he was a professor and an artist, and he used to make cards for his wife, for his sisters, for colleagues at work, female. So I love March 8th in Romania. And it was a weird time. I grew up during communist regime in Romania and in the Eastern Bloc. And it was a very interesting duality for women there. On one end, the first lady at the time, Elena Ceausescu, probably very little known fact who this woman was, but she was patented psychopath. But at the same time, no, it's not the metaphor. At the same time, she made amazing strides for women equality in Romania. We had wage parity in Romania for 40-some years. Women and men were treated equally. We had access to all sorts of STEM jobs. About 70 to 80% of my high school class went to become engineers. And more or less all the girls except 2 or 3 who went into philology and law and stuff like that. So on that level, it was amazing. Maternity leave, 2 years paid, nice, right? So that was all pretty awesome. And at the other time, you have to look at the fact that Romania was this Latin country, and it still is, right? I'm a Latina in a way. And everything that comes with the Latin culture, which is the macho thing, and oh, you should be in the kitchen. So that's the interesting juxtaposition that was always there as I grew up. And that made me, as a teenager, a feminist. And I felt like I was supposed to stand up for myself and to speak up, and also for some of my friends that didn't feel like, necessarily had the voice to speak up. So March 8th, it was a good day. And I moved to the States couple of decades later. And I thought, well, I don't need to be a feminist anymore. Americans had this all figured out. And I believed that for about 10 years after I came in. And then a few years ago, I became a mother. My daughter is here in the front row. That's Tanya. And I realized, particularly as the narratives that were not as positive were surfacing, that I cannot have the luxury of not being a feminist anymore. And reluctantly, I kind of had to step back in. I believe that Tanya and the generation after her generation deserve to live in a slightly different world. So here I am on March 8th, talking to a room full of women. And it's so interesting because the world right now, it is so profoundly weird, right? It is just such a surreal time to look at. And the truth is, we need to take a historical perspective on that, right? Let's just look at this for 20 years, for 30 years, 1,000 years. Everything right now is going to be a mosquito, right? The gentleman in the White House, he's a mosquito. Annoying, embarrassing, maybe carry malaria, but he's a mosquito. So, right? So it's also it also brings me to the idea that as women, it's very easy to have this feminist narrative, but the truth is, men, and I'm so delighted to see a couple of you in the room. My husband is here. Thank you for the support. He's never seen me in action, so double applause for that. It's men carry this very heavy burden of masculinity, which we're not going to unpack tonight, but it has a very, very profound effect on our society, right? And it's at the core of a lot of the things that are happening. So it would be really interesting for us as women to take upon ourselves the responsibility to address men, keeping in mind the burden they are carrying, and also making sure that they know what the privilege it is to have a woman in their life, right? Helen of Troy, the guy didn't have a woman, he went and stole the woman, and then the war happened, right? So this is not a given. Having a woman in your life is not a given, but at the same time, they do carry this burden. So it's really important to keep this balance in mind. For little boys as well, it's really important to approach that with tenderness and with care, and just say, the women in your life are important. It's up to us to do that. And it is, I believe, 170th anniversary of International Women's Day. So 170 years, and we're still having this conversation. Not a good sign, right? But again, historical perspective. So what I want to remind you is that we actually won this battle 5,000 years ago, right? The cradle of civilization has been held by women. Matriarchal societies are at the root of all civilizations. If we look at proto-civilizations right now, they still have matriarchy. So probably, and this is my extrapolation of this phenomenon, a very busy woman with 7 kids said, honey, just go, okay? Just go deal with this leadership thing, I am busy. And he did. And we're paying for that 5 years later, long-term consequences of our actions. We need to hold on to that. But I think, thank you, Rosie the Riveter. We've been fighting so much in the past 60 years for equality and wages and being in public positions and so on, that we are focusing a little bit too much on that. So let's believe that the wheel turns and that we do what we need to do. And in the meantime, I want to empower you and remind you of who you are, right? That is really why I'm here. And Dana and Kirsten, thank you so much for having me here tonight. They asked me to really drill home, and this is what I'm doing right now, to drill home a reminder of how valuable you are as women, how important you are as women, that you are the glue of this civilization. You really are. I don't want to talk about how this civilization will look like without women, because there will be no civilization, and that you are important. So please bear with the cheesiness here and say with me, I am important.
I am important.
Thank you. I matter.
I matter.
Thank you. And what I call on today is something profoundly simple, and simple in a haiku sort of way. Right? It's the simplicity of a haiku. It's not trite, it's the core. Own your womanhood. Embrace it. It is a flag. It is a torch. It is a sword. It is an embrace. You have to own it. We do not fight the men's fight, right? We fight our own fight. Beauty is fleeting. The youth is fleeting. Our fertility is fleeting. Desire, drive, health, life takes it all away, right? There's nothing left at the end. So just own it and use it and cherish it. I asked Dana and Kirsten, who's in the room tonight? And they said, mostly Generation X women. And our parents are dropping like flies. Our spouses' parents are dropping like flies. Our friends' parents are dropping like flies. It's a reminder that life is short. No matter if you live 100 years, life is still short. And if there is anything left for the living when the dead go, is a reminder that we need to live to the fullest, right? So please say together today, use this energy to say, I will live to the fullest.
I will live to the fullest.
Thank you. You honor me. I was getting ready to come here today, and I was thinking, what am I going to wear? And I put together this really cool outfit, really neat pair of pants. I knew Janisa would approve, and a cool top. And then I said, of all the days in my life, I cannot wear pants today, okay? There is no way for me to wear pants to this event. I have to wear a dress. So, and this is a girl who, when she was in school, would not be caught in a dress dead, right? I was in a school that was, we had a uniform, and I would wear pants under the uniforms. My pajamas were pants, right? I would come out of a pair of pants and put another pair of pants on, because I figured out very, very early on that pants equals power. And I wanted the pants. So, and you know, psychologist hat, economist hat, changemaker hat. I look back, not too far back, Mrs. Clinton, and this is not a political statement, right? If I could rewind the clock for her a little bit, about 40 years, I would ask her to wear a dress every single day of her career and play the woman's game, not the guy's game. Because she played catch-up for decades, and that game can only take you so far. And I say that from my experience as a corporate woman. I wear a lot of pants, and I've been called a lot of names while wearing those pants. And the game works. The game really, really works for a while. And then you reach the point where it doesn't work anymore because you're not a man. So own that womanhood, right? Play your own game. Know who you are. Whatever your game is, play that. Nobody else's game, because there is no point in doing that. So, and because we're in Santa Monica here, you know, we're chasing so many things. We're chasing our neurosis, perfection. Please, please drop perfection. It is a killer. We are chasing so many things that have nothing to do with the true essence of who we are. So let's simplify a little bit, right? Let's drop those mosquitoes. Let's just go back and enjoy life and our womanhood, because life is short, right? So I want to deliver on, you know, I believe in truth in advertising, and when that invitation went out, there was a promise that we would be working on what is at the core of solving big problems, what is the kernel of success, if you will, what is something that keeps you going when you have some really big goals that you are chasing, and more importantly, what keeps you going on a Tuesday, which is my favorite part of this. And before we go, we plan a little bit of a workshop, so we're gonna so you can get some tools. But before we do that, I just wanna summarize it in 2 elements of that kernel of success, right? There are 2 pieces to that. And maybe this is gimmicky, maybe it's not, but please bear with me. Number 1 is obsession, right? Full obsession. Whatever that big problem is, whatever that big goal is, whatever that big dream is, just dig into it, right? Just absorb it and become it and let it become you. That's number 1. Number 2 is obsession. There is no number 2. That's it. Okay? I knew you guys were waiting. It's like, oh, what's the other one? I don't want to be obsessed. The world just strives balance. Like, there is no balance. It's just me. There's no life and work. It's just me. That's it. Right? It's just you and you and you and you. That's it. So obsession. Right? And what's wrapped in that obsession, it's a very, very complex thing. And I'm not talking Coke lines on a table. I'm talking the good kind of obsession, right? Let's contextualize. So what's wrapped in that is mental strength, right? You cannot be obsessed with a goal, with an idea. If you're like, no. You cannot be obsessed. To be obsessed, it actually takes some. Number 2, focus, right? Focus to the exclusion of everything else. This black wall, that's it, right? Number 3, permission. You give yourself permission to just go. And some people need permission. And I give permission to people to do all sorts of things, from clearing clutter to whatever. So I give you permission right now to run and do whatever you want to do, right? So you can say, hey, that woman gave me permission, and I don't remember her name, but she did. So just go. The next level that is really necessary to can say, oh, I'm obsessed with this, is to really figure out priorities, worth, value, and particularly if you're in a couple, is really important. You need to have that resonance with each other. And the last one, and the most important one, and we're going to work on this together tonight, is you have to know who you are, right? Deeply, purely, an understanding, a clear image of who you are. And I'm not selling illusions here, so I'm not going to tell you that that's a job that ever ends. You are forever discovering new aspects of yourself. And some of those are, okay, I didn't know that about me. And it's okay, but arrive at some definition of it. And abandon yourself to the truth of that. Because oftentimes we just accept the 50 labels that have been given to us in childhood, in work, by our friends, by our partners, whatever that context might be. And the truth is, you need to peel off a couple of those labels. It's like, you walk out of the mocha and there is a light post there and there are like 50 stickers there. I think everyone says, oh, I'm not a, do that. Just do that. Take some of those labels off and said, yeah, my mom said all my life this. She was wrong. Okay? So it's okay. If you need a lot of permission, take it. Here it is. Take a couple of those labels off. And it's really important. You cannot be obsessed without knowing what you want, right? You have to be obsessed about something. And I hope, and we have a little bit of a kernel here, that it's about life's purpose, right? That thing which is worth anything, which is worth everything, right? The biggest thing, right? The one that is worth the obsession. So we'll start the workshop. If you feel like, ooh, she just hit me with the train right now, feel free to stand up or not, and we'll dive into the workshop, right? Are you ready? Do you want to hear this? Awesome. All right, so This is the technical part of the work, right? Task from Dana and Kirsten we have a few goals for you. Number one, to make connections within yourself, with each other. By the way, if you wouldn't mind moving, you'll need a partner. And if there are any gaps between any of you, just close the gap because you'll need to work with someone on this. So to connect with yourselves, with each other, with some, do you mind turning that off? To some inspiration that would fuel your work, perhaps, and maybe some connection with the world. They even said the word, keep them with their eyes open and their minds open. Like, okay, I'll try, okay? I'll do the absolute best that I can. And to be activated and to provide you with some tools. That's one of the reasons why we're here tonight. So, I don't know about you. By the way, any psychologists in the room here? Just want to make sure, hedge my bets. Okay, I had a feeling that was the case. All right, a couple of them. I don't know, we talked a little bit earlier. So, I think that most of the things in life that we are chasing can be maybe lumped. There are many ways to cut this, right? But we can lump it in about 3 buckets. About here, bucket number 1, I didn't want to have a PowerPoint or anything, is building an empire, right? And you can call that a business, money, fame, relevancy, nonprofit impact, whatever, right? Let's call that shorthand, building an empire, right here. Second bucket, fulfillment. That could be, again, cut in 50 different ways, but for the sake of tonight, bucket number 2, fulfillment. Bucket number 3, identity, right? Who I am, what am I about, what do I like, what do I want? Some people are professional students at that, so, 3 buckets. And I want you to take a minute and really think about, if you think of those 3 buckets, do you resonate with any of it? Are you building an empire? Are you looking for fulfillment? Or are you at the identity piece, right? So I'll give you just a minute to think about it a bit. All right. A lot of straight faces, you know exactly what you want. That's fantastic. So, show of hands, please. How many here about empire? All right. Empire. Cool. Couple empire hands. I know the word is uncomfortable, but I chose it on purpose. So, no hands? Seriously? Okay, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Please. Yes. Yes. All right. So, how many in the fulfillment piece? Wow, look at that.
Can we be multiple?
Yeah, definitely. You can definitely be multiples. Okay, fulfillment. How many on identity? Okay. All right, 2 or more? 2 or more? Okay, 2 or more? All right. Well, see, life does not come with instruction. You have to figure that part out, okay? So just make it up. Okay, any of you that are chasing all 3? All right, couple hands. Timid, some nice. Okay? All right. So, all those are wants, right? Those are desires. And slightly, let's table that for a second, and then I want to ask you a different question. How many of you are experiencing fear about any of those 3 things? Fear? Anyone? Oh, okay, wow, honest group of people. Thank you. Well, here's the thing. You're not going to get any of those 3 things until you deal with the fear. okay? And a little bit of neurobiology, how this works, and the people who know me should have expected that this is coming. Neocortex, right, really responds to data. Oh, what's my return on investment? How many am I serving today? That kind of stuff, right? Numbers, data, very logical approach to a conversation, a proposition of sorts. Amygdala, desire, fear. I want to belong, I like this, that kind of stuff. Fear, right? Either if I don't do this, then, or pure, I'm going to punch you in the face kind of fear. So nothing is going to pass to the neocortex until you go and you get an okay from the amygdala, right? The amygdala is the door. If the amygdala doesn't say, okay, this is either a fear response or a desire response, nothing. You can tell me that I'm going to get 300% return on my investment, and it's like, I'm afraid about this. I'm going to walk out of here. So, and by the way, when the fear is kicked in, the desire doesn't matter, because, as evolutionary beings, we're just going to try to protect. So you have to identify, homework number 1, really look that fear in the face and deal with it. Do something about it, right? This is Santa Monica. You can do something about that, okay? People in the room can help you, right? Some clients tonight. Okay. You have a little card on your chair, or whatever you want to do with it, but I recommend you use that little card that I gave you, and introduce yourself to the person next to you, right? And if you know that person, tough luck. All right, this is not the United Nations speech. Come back. All right, thank you. All right, so now that you know each other's name, hopefully you'll remember it in 5 minutes, write on your card what your fear is about. Just write what your fear is about, as G-rated as you want or not. Write your fear on that card. What are you afraid of? Something that is in the way of your desires. Oh, the digital age has robbed us of having a pen in the pocket, huh? Make some friends. All right. Anyone has the fear on? Say yes if you do. All right. No, people are still writing. Okay. Okay. So here's the thing, right? Statistically speaking, every normal person has about 3 to 4 crises a year, right? Small, big, whatever that might be, 3 to 4 a year. If you have more than that, Tiffany's here. If you have less than that, consider yourself very, very fortunate. But the truth is, we are designed to deal with stuff. And it's okay to have to face stuff. It makes us resilient. It makes us better equipped with tools for next time. It gives us examples on how to deal with other situations bigger down the road and so on. So it's okay. Stuff is going to happen. Now put your fear on the card and give your fear to the person next to you. Exchange fears. Okay? All right? Two purposes to this exercise. Number one, there is some universality to this, right? We might be afraid of the same thing. Maybe half of you are afraid of the same thing. It's okay. As Mark Twain says, most of this is never going to happen. And reason why you exchanged the cards, right? Do you want to hear the obvious reason? You want to hear it? Do you want to guess it? Who wants to guess why I made you exchange the cards?
Because we all share the same element.
Maybe. Maybe not. That's possible. Yes?
To give it to somebody else is a relief.
There you go.
Yeah, there's empowerment.
Eureka! You gave it away. You gave your fear away. It's gone. You like it? You hear it? You gave your fear away. All right. So it's gone. Okay? All right. So, and next time you feel it, right, because fears are very obsessive animals, next time that comes in, I want you to do this and say, thank you. Go to, remember the name. Remember who you gave it to. Thank you for saying hello. You should go over there. Remember her? Go there. Seriously, it's like a muscle, right? I used to say this all the time. So I had a little compartmentalization trick that I did with myself to create a space around work-life separation because I was thinking too much about the work. So I made this little mnemonic that every time I would catch myself thinking about work or obsessing about work or whatever that would be, in the shower or at night or whatever, I would say, I'm not paid to do this, right? So it's a good muscle. And you say it once, you say it twice, you say it 300 times, and the 301 times is like, I don't need to say it because it's not going to come. Or if it comes, it's like, oh, I know my place. And it's going to go, right? So I'm very serious about this. Just remember the name of the person you gave your card and said, thank you. Now go to Mary.
What if
Right.
Mary doesn't want that fear?
But Mary is not Mary's fairy. Mary's okay. Yeah, Mary is the trusted keeper of that. Yeah, yeah. All right. So we worked on the fear. Now we're going back, right? I'm gonna assume, right? This is a group of very educated people that came to an event in Santa Monica. So I have a lot of faith in you. We're going back because I want you to get your empire. I want you to get your fulfillment. I want you to get your identity, right? So we're going back. You don't walk out that door until I give you what you came here for, or at least I'll try. I'm very good at tackling people, so keep that in mind. So, how many of you were on the empire piece? Right? Okay. That is awesome. You have to figure those two pieces out first. Okay? So, again, we talked a little bit about those labels. Positive, negative, burdensome, not burdensome enough, right? If your inner whatever wants to come out, and you don't let her come out, or him come out, this is not going to happen. That's going to hold you back, okay? This piece here, the fulfillment, you have to really look at that desire in the face, and I'm very serious about this, and see where it's coming from. Is it a healthy chase of the fulfillment, or is not so healthy? Does it come from trauma, or does it come from a true aspiration, right? That's really, really important, and we have a really powerful family story about that. My husband's brother committed suicide a few years ago, and it all came from his experience as a child. His natural parents died during the Vietnam War, and when he was very young, and although he was surrounded with love and adopted by my in-laws, afterwards, he was a cousin, and cared for and nurtured all his life. He tried to fill that fulfillment bucket with cars. When he died, he had like 7 cars and assets and all sorts of things to fill that hole, right? So that's a fake fulfillment, right? So really look it in the face, right? If you're on your way to the 7th pair of Louboutins, maybe, check that out, right? Doesn't need to be Lamborghinis, but check it out, because there might be something else to it, right? Is there a flag there? If there is an aspiration of sorts, check it out. If you're on your 7th master, not the right path, right? So really look at what's in your fulfillment piece and say, what's healthy for me, right? If it's something you would recommend to somebody else, it's probably good. If you wouldn't, you know? So some hard looking in the mirror and say your own truth, however beautiful or not so beautiful that might be, right? So identity, really have to address that. That's the voice. And that's about regrets. You don't want to get to be 90 years old and have regrets about that, right? That's not something that I recommend. Again, fulfillment, fill it with what's worth it. And then it's like, ooh, now I'm going to build my empire, right? And how do you build the empire? How do you solve the big problem? How do you build? Is Alana here? There she is. Thank you for your email today. How do you save the forest, right? That's a big task. That's a green empire that she's trying to build. You need to tap into magic. And I'm serious about this. Magic. Quantum physics is magic, right? Everything that is not in our Newtonian world, and there's a lot that is not in our Newtonian world, is magic, right? You have to believe in that. That's what really makes those big problems solvable, right? Hunger, economic collapse, hate, whatever, right? All those issues on gender that we were talking about in the very beginning, it takes magic to fix those, right? And how do you tap into that? Here's my recipe, right? It works. It works. Some evidence-based proof there. Number 1, the quietness. Okay, this is good. This is very good. Full responsibility, right? There is that spectrum of victimhood to badassery over here. I don't know how much of a badass you want to be, that's a personal preference, but not here, okay? Not here. Please commit right now. Full responsibility. I want to hear it. Thank you. That's what's going to build you your empire. That's all on you. You control that. That's in your power to solve those problems, to do what needs to be done. That's on you, right? And you cannot do it without that piece, the full responsibility. Number 2, understand and articulate your role in society, in family, at work. And it takes that. Right? You cannot understand and articulate your role without the identity piece, right? So, oh man, women, I have 2 legs. The right leg, the left leg. The right leg is doing what the right leg is supposed to be doing, and the left leg is doing its job. They're equal. We're not even talking about, are your legs equal? Like, no. So, but they have their role. My right hand has a different role than my left hand. Are they equal? Who cares? We're not having this conversation. You're lefty. Who cares, right? But you have to understand the role. If I try to write with my left hand, oh dear, right? That's not the point. So it's really, really important. My dad would love you. He always thought my handwriting was, oof. Imagine left-handed that. Number 3, which is connected to the pieces of paper that you had on your chairs. You have to know what you want. You cannot get what you cannot articulate, right? And you have to ask for it, as number 4, and ask for it, still number 4, and ask for it, still number 4, and ask for it, right? Minimum of 4, average of 20, conservative march based on studies. You need to ask for what you want between 6 and 8. Daughter, please cover your ears. It's not what I want. So it's really important because you cannot ask if you don't know what you want, and you're not going to get if you don't ask, right? It's a really linear piece. And by the way, in the empire, you better unpack that a little bit, because some people say, oh, I want to be famous, and I'm going to make a lot of money. Oh, I want to, and I'm going to make a lot of money. If you want money, just say, I want to make a lot of money. That is perfectly acceptable. Perfectly acceptable. As a woman, you know, society makes you believe that it's not as acceptable. It is perfectly acceptable. Again, I give you permission to say, I want to make a lot of money.
I want to make a lot of money.
Thank you, Janisa. Thank you. And it's really interesting because people ask me all the time, and I work with clients that say, oh, but I'm on the cover, blah, 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 and I'm on the Forbes list, blah, 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 and I think I might need to get a job. And this is the truth. If you want to get famous, thinking that you're going to make money, you might be in for an interesting awakening. More or less rude, I don't know. Your path is your path. But go for what you want, right? If you want the money, go for the money. If you want the fame, don't expect the money, right? If you want the fame and the money, you have to go for the fame and the money. And they have different strategies, right? Very different tactical plans, all that kind of stuff, right? It's a pretty technical job, both of those. And by the way, the money is way more streamlined. It's not as sophisticated, although it seems at times. It's a pretty easy path to follow, right? It's easier than many other things. So just be honest with yourself primarily and with the world. And the last piece on that recipe for success is awareness. You need to pay attention to the energy. And I know I can say this because it's Santa Monica. And you are probably open. I'm harping too much on the Santa Monica. Please forgive me. No, I love Santa Monica. But it's about the awareness of the energies of the universe, because the universe wants you to have whatever you want, right? And again, it's quantum physics. The observer changes reality. If you have two particles and there's nobody there, the particles do whatever the particles do. If there is an observer in the lab, the particles do something very different, right? When you observe matter, it changes. This is not New Age. It is quantum physics, right? The observer changes reality. By being aware of what happens around you, and I mean 360 degrees 24/7, right? And sometimes the interpretation of what's happening takes a year or 6 months or 3 days or whatever that might be, right? But nevertheless, awareness of the energies of the universe is really, really an important tool of that magic that we're still talking about, right? So try to channel that through intent. That is really my guidance to you. Intent, again, makes the path of clarity for matter and energy to go through. And that's why you said, oh, I'm hungry. Hey, do you have a sandwich? It's like, yeah, that's quantum physics right there, right? You think of something and that something happens. You are clear. You really want it. And again, you better want what you want, right? Because we all had experience where that was just not the case. So exercise really quickly. And I gave you that paper that I hope you really think about it at home, because it's a pretty robust exercise. It has some deadlines to it. And my recommendation is that you do it, and then you look at it at night and in the morning. And at night, just look at it. Just look at it. Just look at it. And you kind of prime yourself with the ideas and kind of marinate, right? Just marinate in your own desires, in your own wishes. And can I get the volunteer? Volunteer to come here? All right, come. Cristina, what's your name?
Deborah Lee.
Deborah Lee?
Yes.
All right. What do you want, Beverly?
I want to make money
Awesome. In which way?
through my own business.
What is the business about?
The business is connecting people,
In which way?
networking,
What kind?
professionals meeting professionals, mentoring and professionalism.
Okay, you're getting somewhere. What kind of change are you planning to make in their lives?
What kind of change? Building confidence.
Okay, what else? What would they come to you to network? So they would get something?
Yes.
Okay,
So
confidence,
Confidence, resources.
resources,
Connections.
Connections.
And money for them too.
okay? And what's beyond that? Because those are not means to an end.
Sure.
What do you think is beyond that for them?
Creating a culture and a lifestyle. Maybe?
For themselves?
Yes. Yes.
So if you look back to you, your goal is to create a culture and lifestyle of what?
Of harmony, fulfillment,
Beyond?
beyond.
Beyond that?
Oh.
Too broad?
Oh,
More
too
specific?
broad, More specific, right.
This is very hard, by the way. This is very, very hard. I'm putting her on the spot,
And you put me on the spot too, yeah. That's
but I wanted you to see how hard this is, right? Very, 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 very smart people, very task-oriented people don't have their wants on paper, okay? And they have trouble thinking about their wants and the impact of their wants beyond level 1, beyond level 2, if that. So what I invite you to do, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I was very brave. What I invite you to do is to really dissect that, because that's part of the magic. You have to really say, oh, I want to be a doctor. Why? To make money and save lives. Okay, go deeper, right? Even something so obvious as that can have 50 layers. And your connection with those layers inspires action, and it's going to give you the plan, and it's going to give you the path, and it's going to give you the clarity that really, really, really takes you from A to Z. And maybe accelerates that path, right? Because if you don't go those levels, it can take you 5 times as long or never to reach that, okay? So take those pieces of paper and do a little bit of a workshop with yourself to really arrive at that. And right now, I want you to all pull your phones, and I see my child already has her notebook. Yeah, we have a notebook where we actually work on affluence and finances and insights as a family. She has her own notebook. So pull your phone, and I want you to use the phone. There you go. Because I want you to carry this with you at all times, right? That's the point here. And just, very cursory, I'm going to give you a minute to take one pass at one of the things that you want. Just one thing, right? Just write it down, something that you want that is really important to you. You guys are so amazing. All right. Now do it again. Again, life has no instructions. Figure it out. All right. Now do it again. Awesome. People are still writing. Those are good goals. They're juicy. Okay. When you're done, turn to your neighbor and tell them your goals. All right. That all works every time. If you hear me, clap 3 times. Thank you. All right. That sounded really juicy. So I want each of you to make a commitment, either to yourself or to your neighbor. Are we back? All right. Energized conversation around goals. This is a good sign. So here's the thing. Dreams and wants without action are worse than nothing. They're worse. They haunt us. They make us feel guilty. They are dragging like ball and chain to our legs on our deathbed. Don't let them do that to you. Okay? Don't do that. I want you to make a commitment to either drop the goal, just drop it. If you know you're not going to do anything about it, just say, hey, you know what? Sounded like a good idea at the time. Yeah. Or say, obsession. I'm going to go. What's the American expression? Whole hog? Whole hog? All right? Whole hog on that? I mean, that's the only two choices that you have. Otherwise, you're going to be on that deathbed, assuming you're conscious, and you're going to say, dang, what have I done? There is nothing left to do, right? I asked my dad on his deathbed, so anything do you regret, anything you wish you could do? He said, right now, nothing. I can do nothing. Doesn't matter, right? So and ever since I actually hold this, what I call the deathbed perspective around decision making, which I found really, really powerful, right? It's, if I look, and I looked at him, what he was holding as important in those last few weeks, it's really reductionistic. You become this master of exclusion if you can hold that kind of perspective when you're young, when you're able, when you can do everything you still want to do, right? It really, it's like, you look, it's like, is this going to matter on my deathbed? Yeah, you better do it. You better do it. And if it's not going to matter, just drop it. Put something else instead. You have limited bandwidth, right? In the limits of this physical reality, time is a constant. You cannot shove more in there, although we try. And I'm very guilty of that myself. Energy is also finite, right? Particularly as we age, that is a very precious resource, so, cherish that. But ultimately, what you have is your bandwidth allocation towards your goals, and that is your action. So please make a commitment right now to either do a darn thing about that, whatever that is, or at least I'm going to figure that for which I'm going to do something about. That's okay. It's valid to have a plan, Or say, you know what? I am kidding myself here. And I want you to turn to the same friend. By the way, exchange phone numbers. Please, it's very nice to be kept accountable by a total stranger. It really works. It's like, hey, what are you doing with that thing? It's a very limited kind of interaction. And unusual too, right? So that's my recommendation. Do what you may. But turn to your newly found friend and tell them what your goal is and what your commitment. Actually, no goal. Oh, we don't want to do this for 20 minutes. Just tell them what the commitment is. I'm going to do something about this, or actually, I need to be honest. So go. 2 minutes. Okay, so you arrive at something, you made it public. By the way, I was serious about exchanging phone numbers. I strongly recommend that. And final notes. We're getting to the wrapping it up. I like to keep things on time. So on the way to that end goal, there's going to be toughness. I had a 1-hour conversation this morning with one of our fellows. I've been working with him for 1.5 years, and he was telling me this morning how hard it is, how exhausted he is, how depressed of the kind of interactions he didn't think he was going to have, he's having, how frustrating it is. And I said something really profound to him, and I was very proud of that moment. I said, buckle up! He knows me, so I could say that. But the truth is, and this is what he was not doing, seriously speaking, what he was not doing is he was not enjoying the climb. You have to enjoy the climb. This is about the climb. If you reach it, fantastic. If you don't reach it, you still enjoy the climb. Okay? Find a way. Find a way. We're resourceful people. In this day and age, find a way. The most important way and the fastest, the change here. Just sit down with your coffee for breakfast, shift that. Easiest, hardest and easiest to do, right? You don't need to change somebody else's mind, you don't need to change their action, you don't need to do anything. Just flip that. So love the climb, right? Number 2, he was very uncomfortable. It's like, oh, I'm uncomfortable, there are a lot of millennials in that room. Embrace the discomfort. There is no greatness in comfort. You are not going to build an empire by being comfortable, by sitting at your desk, by being on your couch, by being in your house by yourself. Introverts, out. Okay? Out. Talk to people. Anybody in this room who's confused? Fantastic. Okay. Anyone who feels like an imposter? Be honest. All right. Imposter syndrome sufferers here in the room. All right. 5 seconds strategy. You cannot bring value to a table and feel like an imposter in the same moment. When you walk somewhere and you say, I don't belong here. Know that if you are in that room, you belong there. Something, somebody, some force brought you in that room. Kicking and screaming, literally, figuratively, whatever that might be. You are in that room. The world wants you to do whatever you're doing there. So buckle up. Second, is that me? Time up? No? Okay, ignore. I have 5 brothers. I can ignore Armageddon. The second antidote for the imposter syndrome is to add value. Walk in and you say, ooh, I think they made a mistake calling me here. Just put something on the table. And the moment you put something on the table, your imposter syndrome, I guarantee, call me if it's not that, because I want to know. That means my system is not correct. So, but I assure you, evidence-based, it's gone, right? Anyone who's worried about being stuck? Wow, nobody's worried about being stuck. Oh, a couple of hands. Okay, so again, not too glib, but a little bit glib. The cure for stuckness is very simple. And I think Bridget heard me say this before. 10x action. When you feel stuck, do more. Just do more. It's like, oh, what am I there to do? I don't know, I'm just going to do something. I'm going to make another call. I'm going to write another email. I'm going to learn something. Just do something more productive, right? Not just, go for a run, if nothing else, right? That should help. So this should give you a bit of a framework, but you did come for something very specific. How do you solve a big problem? How do you reach a goal? Tanya, come here. I'm going to have a 6-year-old tell you how you become successful. It's okay, I'll tell you. So,
number 1, good idea. Number 2, find the right people. Number 3, work hard. Number 4, spend time. Discipline. Number 5, discipline.
That's it. That's it. If you have a good idea, find the right people, right? Work hard. It takes time. It used to take generations to build a business. If you want an empire, forget the freaking unicorns. Nobody tells you that they thought about that for 20 years, okay? It used to take generations to build an empire. The fact that nowadays we can do it in a few years is an anomaly of the time. Be patient, right? And work hard. How many hours have you put today? 5. You have 15 more to go. Go. I'm not joking. For a while at least, right? So work hard. Put enough time in it. Give it time to bake, to mature. Give time for the universe to deliver what you want and what you need when you need it, not when you think you need it. Okay? There's a season for things. Number 5, discipline. Without that, there is nothing. And that means anything and everything from I have my routine or I don't have my routine. Maybe I'm too obsessive, whatever that is. A discipline that is required to arrive at your goals. And you know what that is. Don't spending time on silly things. Don't spending money on silly things. Discipline, right? Idea, people, hard work, time, and discipline. That is how you solve big problems. That's how you achieve success. That's how you build an empire. And that's how you stay motivated on a Tuesday. Okay? I don't feel like doing this. Discipline. Do that. Okay? Or maybe it's time for just finding the right people. That's important too. All right, so I want to take a temperature check. Anybody feels inspired tonight? Thank you. It takes a crowd to do this. Motivated, I hope you leave with something out of this. And I have, you are heroes and heroesses, right? I wasn't planning for men in the room, but nevertheless, they're here. So I want to give you a song to run in your head when you go do your hero stuff. But before we do that, if we can start from the back, just stand up and say one word about your want, your big idea. So we're just going to go. Stand up, say the word, and move, and just stay standing, right? So over there. Speak it up. Fulfillment. Stay up, stay up. You all stay up. Next. Happiness. Okay.
Okay, legacy.
Legacy. Pick one, no rules. Success. Stay there. Somebody. Next. Strength. Success. Stay up. Respect. Fulfillment. Love. Ooh, good one. Love it. Abundance. Leadership. Kindness and hope.
Kelly, ass kicking.
Ass kicking. Woohoo!
Amanda, and I say
Passion.
passion.
Awesome.
April, land trust.
Land trust. Ooh.
Trinity, presence.
Presence.
Ruth, peace.
Peace.
Janelle, beauty.
Beauty.
Bridget, energy.
Energy.
Minako, empire.
Empire.
Evelyn, empowerment.
Empowerment.
Lisa, creation.
Creation.
Maddie, influence.
Influence.
Tiffany, inspiration.
Inspiration.
Carol, magnificence.
Magnificence.
Deborah, breakthrough.
Breakthrough. From the back, please.
Sarah,
Alignment.
Alyssa,
Flow.
Nicole, freedom.
Freedom.
Elizabeth,
Empire.
Elizabeth, connection.
Connection.
Elsa, growth.
Growth.
Jill, peace.
Peace.
Jennifer, love.
Love.
Mindy, lasting impact.
Lasting impact. Awesome.
Cheryl, trust.
Trust. She says, crossing her arms. To serve. All right, pick one.
Joy.
Joy. Joy, joy?
No, Molly.
Okay. It's possible.
And connection.
Connection.
Alana, recommitment.
Recommitment. Megan.
Megan, impact.
Impact.
Janisa, unity.
Unity.
Greg, film it.
All right. That's a secret wish. All right. So no. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Here's your song. Keep going. Keep going. Get it in your head. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.